The message from Dan lands late on a Thursday. This is great, roll Claude out to the whole marketing team by Friday. He has just watched Maya's model matching save the quarterly push a day of rework. So in his head, the math is simple, more people, more saved days. Maya's first instinct is to open her prompt library and forward the whole thing to the team. Here, use what works for me. Freeze on that instinct because this is domain 4 of your exam, workflow integration and solution design, roughly one question in 6, the second heaviest slice of your 60 questions. The exam gives it that weight because forwarding your prompts is exactly how most Claude rollouts die. A tool is not a workflow. By the end of this episode, you will know how to turn one person's trick into a process a team can run and how the exam tests every step of that turn. Maya has until Friday to learn it, so let's walk it with her. So what does Maya do instead of hitting forward? She spends the first hour on a boring question, where does this team's week actually go? Not where people say it goes, where it goes. So she collects the real material, the campaign briefs, the status threads, the content calendar, and the Friday metrics review that everyone groans about. She gives Claude that pile and briefs it like a brand new coworker, full context, nothing assumed, and asks it to map the week step by step. Then she works in stages. First list the steps, then mark which ones are rule-based and which need judgment, then flag where the hours pool, then and only then talk about what to change. One giant prompt would give her one giant answer she cannot check. Stage prompts give her stages she can. For the trade-off and gap spotting, she turns on extended thinking, the setting made for hard reasoning that needs no new information. And the map surprises her. The step everyone demos is social copy, but the block that eats the week is assembling the Friday metrics review. That is the domain's first rule. Pick the step with leverage, not the step that demos well. Before Maya designs anything, she needs one more distinction. Because different shapes of work want different Claude tools, and the exam loves this distinction. A quick factual lookup wants a simple web search, hard reasoning on facts you already hold wants extended thinking, and a mini source investigation wants research mode. Research mode runs searches that build on each other and comes back with a cited synthesis, and the citations matter, because Claude said so is not a source your director will accept. Connected to the team's workspace, it can fold internal mail and files into the same investigation, still citing the exact originals it used. For planning documents, you can stack the two. Thinking first, so Claude plans its approach, then research to gather comprehensively. And for process optimization, the move is almost embarrassingly direct hand. Claude the documented process and ask where the waste is, which steps could batch, and which steps exist only to feed another step. Maya runs exactly that on the Friday review and gets back a short bottleneck list with one item circled, the manual collection of updates from mail and chat, and a folder of files. Notice she still has not built anything, and that is the point. Analysis first is what stops you automating the wrong step. Here is how a domain 4 question will come at this exact skill, so let's play it at pace. An operations lead wants requirements for automating invoice processing, and she already holds the current process document plus 3 months of exception logs. What is the strongest first move with Claude? Option A says, just ask Claude to write the requirements. It has seen plenty of invoice systems. And option C says, run research mode to see how other companies automate invoices. A dies because ungrounded asks, produce generic boilerplate while her real evidence sits unused, and C dies because the binding constraints are internal, her process and her exceptions, and the web cannot see either one. Option D says, commission a custom skill encoding the invoice workflow before any analysis, and that is over-engineering. You encode a procedure once it is settled, and nothing is settled before the analysis. That leaves B, upload the document and the logs, then stage the analysis, extract the steps, classify rule-based versus judgment, flag the gaps, then draft the requirements. Stamp it match fit the approach to the evidence in front of you, and notice it is the exact sequence Maya just ran on her own team. Back to Maya, who now knows her target is the Friday review and the temptation is to roll the fix out to everyone at once. She does something smaller and smarter. She designs a pilot, one teammate running the one redesign step for a week. And before the pilot starts, she writes down what good looks like. Every number in the draft must carry a citation to its source, and the human review pass must come in under an hour. Define the bar before the pilot, because a bar defined afterwards always bends to fit whatever happened. The solution itself she drafts with Claude as an artifact, a working template for the review that lives in its own window instead of scrolling away in chat. Every revision is kept as a version, so when Dan asks why the format changed, she can show the passes instead of arguing from memory. She even mocks the finished review as a small clickable artifact because a draft people can touch communicates a design better than a paragraph and it costs minutes. The pilot runs, she measures against the bar she wrote, the citation rule holds, and the review pass comes in under the hour. Only then does she widen it. And that loop is what the exam means by solution design, requirements, draft, critique, revise, version, measure, then widen. Now the question that decides whether this survives contact with the team, what exactly changes in their week, and this picture is the whole domain in one drawing. In the before row, a human walks the sources by hand, chasing mail and chat threads and a folder of files, and assembles the draft from scratch most of a day. In the after row, that one step belongs to Claude, connected to the team's tools, so it drafts the review with citations pointing at the exact messages and files it used. And directly after it sits a box that was never in the old row, a named human review. The reviewer follows the citations before anything moves, which is the verify move built into the process itself. Every other box stays exactly where it was. Same owner, same deadline. This is called augmenting the workflow. You insert Claude into the painful step and leave the rest alone. And it is the pattern Anthropic's own case studies describe. Augment first, measure, redesign later. Redesign gets its day, but only when the seams show, when you notice boxes that existed only to feed a box that no longer needs feeding. Two facts guard this design. Connectors inherit your existing permissions, so Claude cannot see anything you cannot, and every action it takes needs explicit human approval. One box, one review, everything else untouched. That is what a trustworthy first integration looks like. Friday morning, Maya has to sell this to the room, and the exam grades that conversation as seriously as it grades the design. Her value slide has no adjectives on it, just the pilot result, what the review used to cost the team and what it costs now with the human still reading every draft. Then she does the thing most presenters skip, she puts up a limitations slide on purpose. Claude has a knowledge cutoff, so anything newer has to come from search or from documents you hand it. Claude can be confidently wrong, so drafts are drafts. Humans own the facts and humans own the decision. And the controls are already in the design. Actions need approval. The mail connector drafts and never sends, permissions are inherited, and admins can tighten all of it. Priya looks up from her notebook and asks the only question that matters, what happens when it is wrong? Maya has a real answer. Every draft passes the named reviewer who follows the citations before anything leaves the team. And anything the reviewer cannot verify or anything touching customer data escalates to a person with authority to decide. It never ships on the model's word. That is the escalate move won as a process, and you can watch the room relax as she says it, because the limitation slide is what earns the trust, not the demo. The rollout gets its yes, and then Dan, already dreaming bigger, asks the question that closes our loop. Can Claude just answer our client emails automatically end to end? That is a domain 4 exam question wearing Dan's face. So let's finish the way we started at base. One answer says yes, connect the mail and it handles clients end to end. And that is overpromising against a documented hard limit. The first bad autopilot email would kill the whole program. One says no, Claude cannot work with email at all, and that undersells it badly. Searching mail and preparing cited drafts removes most of the manual work. One says yes, but only on the most capable model, which confuses the model axis with the integration axis. Connector behavior is not a model tier feature. The accurate answer carries value and limitation in the same breath. Claude can search the mail and prepare drafts. It cannot send. Actions need approval, so a human reviews and a human sends. Stamp it, escalate. Sending to a client is not the tool's call. And because guardrails like these are product decisions, verify the current behavior before you put it on a slide. So the scorecard map where the time actually goes before you build. Pilot small against a bar. You wrote first augment one step and put a review after it. And put the limits on the slide yourself. Maya's rollout goes out Friday afternoon, not a folder of forwarded prompts, a process with one new box and one new review, and Dan never learns how close the prompt dump came. Next episode, configuration and knowledge management, because Maya just noticed she has pasted the same brand context into chats all week and there is a better home for it.